Well, hello, General Hospital Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Thursday, September the 15th, 2022. Listen, today's episode, not really too much happened at all. Carly is still stuck in Jacksonville, Florida, ran into some society woman, or she thinks she's high society in Jacksonville, and it ended up coming out because she was very judgmental. She saw a friend's husband with a much younger woman and just assumed she was a prostitute. And Carly was thinking, goodness, how do you assume that? You know, I mean, for one thing, this guy was definitely escorting her. But she was judgmental, and it's like men pretty much can't help themselves, and it's the woman that's the viper, and this and this. But as the conversation, oh, she ended up saying that they are on a mission, to clean up Jacksonville. And she was so happy that they got a notorious house. It was allegedly a boarding house, but no, it really wasn't that kind of house. It was a house of ill repute, ran by a Ruby, what was her name? Ruby Jones? I forget what Ruby's last name is that they said it was. Um, Ruby Spencer. Maybe it was a Ruby Spencer, but I think Ruby's name was different than Luke, even though Luke and Ruby were sister and brother. I don't know if she went by Ruby Spencer. But anyway, Carly said her name and said, well, she's my great aunt. And the lady looked at her and said, you didn't work at that establishment, did you? And Carly's like, I didn't meet my great aunt Ruby until years later when she came to Port Charles. I was already living there. Or she moved to Port Charles, and I think Ruby was there long before Carly got there. But that's where she met Carly. But then it ended up coming out that she goes, you're Caroline Benson. And Carly explained to the lady the car she drove, said what her first husband's name was, and this, and this. Come to find out, Carly and the woman's girl were best friend, the woman's daughter, and ever since they were 12. Somehow the woman's husband seduces Carly at 16. And the woman is blaming Carly. She goes, like I said, men can't help themselves. You were a tramp, and you were blaming a 16-year-old, right? And Carly said, I was 16 years old. He was in his 40s. It was definitely his fault. Definitely. She goes, I knew your family since I was 12. He should never have been looking at me, But anyway, that didn't matter. And Carly said, you know what? You may say I'm not worthy, I'm not nothing, but I'm not Caroline Benson. I haven't been Caroline Benson since I took the name Carly. And I guess the woman's daughter went by Carly. And she goes, that's my daughter's name. And she goes, my name. And I've been going by Carly ever since. And so, Carly always stands her ground, but the lady ends up indignant, just walks away like, from this common trash, and blaming Carly for ruining her daughter. I guess got in a car accident, and she said she should have never been on the road, but she was upset, about you sleeping with her father and tearing up our family and just the whole 9 yards. Okay. Drew, of course, has been looking at his phone for the whole episode, can't get a hold of Carly, which rightfully so. But guess what? Carly gets a new phone tomorrow, she said. But at the front desk of any hotel, because she's got to stay in the hotel, she's actually at, I guess, like a country club now, or a nicer establishment. She could call her family. I mean, we may not, because of the age of cell phones, and we just push a button, but there are some numbers you remember. I know I remember all of my children's phone numbers, all of them. Now, it's funny. I may not remember my best friend's number because that's a push button on my cell phone, right? But all of my children, I absolutely know their number. And Carly could call and say, hey, listen, If anybody's trying to get a hold of me, this is what happened, right? But no, I guess no cigar. Then we have Michael meets Dex Pier 54. Dex gives him an update that Sonny wants him on the pier, keeping an eye on the Woos. See, the Woos they're in drug trade. They do drugs. They traffic drugs. And he says he wants to make sure they're not trafficking drugs off of the pier. So now we know what the Woos do. And Michael tells Dex, because he goes, oh, I heard about Ava, bottom line, I may not like her, but she is Avery's mother. So I'm happy you did assist and get her to the hospital. And he goes, oh, Jocelyn, Joss was a big help. And oh, Joss did this and that and the other. And Mike said, you know what? Michael says it was unavoidable. You and Joss had to work together to save Ava, but you let that be the last time. I don't want you around my sister at all, because it's bad enough, I have to deny that I even know you. But if somehow, she gets closer, or you guys become friends, that makes it even more difficult. Something could come up, and I hate lying to my sister. And I'm like, no, you don't, Michael. You'll lie to Jocelyn in a heartbeat. Lying to Jocelyn, Willow, Carly, anybody else, it doesn't matter to you. Let's be real. When you're on a mission and you want to do what you want to do, Michael, you don't have a problem lying. Just saying. So Sonny is talking to Nicholas and Ava, and he lets them know that, yes, that attacker attacked Brando, and Brando's in surgery. That's how he knows Nicholas did not do it. And he said, at that point, they don't see the connection, or Sonny can't see the connection. And then we have minor chit chat between Drew and Willow. Willow comes from her place to the main house, yawning. She had just gotten up from a nap, but remember, her leukemia is progressing, right? So she is more fatigued. And she's yawning, and she goes, oh, I just got up from a nap, but she got a little dizzy. And Drew's like, whoa, you need to sit down. Are you okay? And she goes, yeah, I'm fine. Just pregnancy brain. I'm okay. And he offers to make her a cup of tea, and they're talking. And then Michael comes in and he tells Willow about Brando, and she wants to go to the hospital, to see Sasha to make sure everything's okay. And Michael says, I'll drive you. I'll go with you. So Willow's going to go there and watch. She's already a little fainty, lightheaded. Something's going to happen. She may pass out. Who knows? We shall definitely see what happens there. And Jordan comes to the hospital. She questions Christina and gets her statement. And Christina pretty much tells her same thing she told the other cop. Christina did not really see. But the Sonny kind of stopped it, even though Christina was done. And he tells Christina, look, go take a break. So when Christina walks away, he asks Jordan, is my daughter in danger? And she goes, right now, everything seems to be so random. It's random crimes. I would not say that Christina's in danger, so Sonny's just looking. And Nina shows up to the hospital to be with Sasha, because Sonny had called her, and she's, comforting Sasha, comforting Gladys. TJ's coming in from, the surgery to give them updates. You know what? Soap operas are famous for a doctor walking out of an OR room to give the family news. And the doctor walks over to the family, and they're like, doctor, how's my loved one, doctor? And the doctor goes, oh, you know what? There was a little complication, but they scare the crap out of you until they say this, that, and the other. Now, no, Brando is absolutely not out of any kind of woods. He's holding his own, but his blood pressure dropped. But TJ came out, and each time he came out, I thought he was gonna say Brando was dead by the way he was looking. It's like, oh my God, TJ, work on your update face better than this. So um Sasha's like, I don't know. She's falling apart. Of course, she was already almost falling apart. And she has gone through a lot. So they're comforting her. Nina's comforting her. And we'll see, because bottom line, it's we know Brando is not gonna die. This is too soon. Brando is, to me, a integral part of the story of General Hospital. There's a whole lot more they're gonna do with Brando. I don't feel Brando's going to die. But then we had Jocelyn. She and Trina was with Rory. This is before Rory went to work. Jocelyn was with Cam. We got to see Cam, and they're kissing and, talking about school, talking about the classes they're taking. And Trina wants to change the subject because Rory never went to college and she didn't want him to feel left out. So they're over on the chairs, and she's like, oh, we don't have to talk about school. And he goes, well, why not? And he goes, are you trying to protect me because I didn't go to school? She's like, I don't want you to feel bad, that you're not sharing the same experience. He goes, but yet that's what you all are talking about. I want to talk about whatever you were talking about or whatever you want to talk about. What would you like to talk about? She goes, well, this is some weather, right? And he looks at her, he goes, I want to talk about anything other than the weather. And I thought Trina's trying to be sweet, but that was crazy. So then we get Rory. Trina says, oh, well, I want to tell you why I came to talk to Spencer at the PCPD. And he goes, you don't have to explain anything to me like that. She goes, no, I want to tell you. And she talks about Spencer, and all along Spencer, this and that. And, he was really on my side. He really believed in me. And so Rory just flat out said, okay, so now that you know that, does this mean we're over, or, there is no us? And she's like, no. She's like, look, yes, I know the truth now, but Spencer really hurt me. I mean, I was really hurt by the way he treated me for a long period of time. And bottom line, he didn't trust me enough to say, I believe you, but I need to try to help. And this is how I'm going to do it. And so she's like, no, that's over. Spencer, my feelings for him, no, I'm definitely with you, So he has to go to work, and she comes over to Joss, and they're like, Spence, can you get us something to drink? So he goes to get the iced tea, and Trina and Joss sit down on the blanket, and Trina's talking about the dumpster diving. And she goes, you could have gotten hurt. You could have got stuck. You were all alone in an alley. And so Jocelyn says, well, actually, I wasn't alone. She goes, well, Cameron thinks you were alone. He goes, no, I just didn't tell Cameron Dex was there. So now Trina's like, but you lied to him. That made me, but you shouldn't lie. I mean, she was really going all deep into it. You're lying to him, and you should tell the truth. And just, oh my gosh, shut up, Trina. Yes, Jocelyn, maybe. I mean, that's such a minor thing, whatever. And she goes, I didn't say anything because, like, look, just the way you're acting right now, there's nothing going on with me and Dex. And I don't want anything more to be made of it than what it was. Even though that's really not true. Jocelyn's really developing feelings for Dex. We all see it, right? So as they're talking, Cameron comes back and he goes, am I missing anything? What you guys talking about? And he has the iced teas, and Jocelyn's turned and she looked at Trina like, don't say nothing, girlfriend. And Trina is just looking, but by then Rory comes back, and she's like, Rory, did you leave something? Leave your cell phone here? And he goes, no, I came to talk to Jocelyn. Because when Rory reported to the hospital to the commissioner, Gladys remembered that Brando, because they said, did Brando tell you where he was going? And they're like, no, he just said he had to do something. He'd be right back. And Gladys says, no. Jordan says, was anyone else in Charlie's? And she goes, Sonny, your man was in there and he was talking to Jocelyn. And so Commissioner said, but no, nobody got a statement from Jocelyn or your man, Sonny. And he goes, so Gladys says, no, Sonny's guy left and Jocelyn left really right after him. And so Sonny's like, oh, wait, you mean Jocelyn left out the side before Brando went out? And Gladys was like, yeah. So Sonny's starting to think, wait a minute. Brando, must have been trying to look out for Jocelyn, or he's trying to kind of connect those dots there. So I think Sonny is going to be pretty up on it with starting to put some pieces together, because let's be real, the attacker was really after Jocelyn. So let's go to comment corner. We got a lot of good comments here, everybody. Wow. Let's talk about these comments. Okay, we've got Jane says, it could be Esme using her father's hook. I didn't know Ryan had a hook, but anyway, okay. The hook was taken from the Quartermain's fish house or boathouse. And then Jane also says, Heather Weber is loose. Oh, I remember. Yeah. Heather Weber is still alive, right? I think she's still locked up, but wow, Heather Weber, that's a character they haven't brought back in a minute, because she is crazy. And I think she did use some kind of hook or something years ago. Heather Weber, Blast from the Past, crazy Heather. And then Susan gave yet another great recap. So if you really want to get down to more in depth in the scenes, read Susan's written recap. And one thing she did say that I agree, they need to put some surveillance cameras in that alley. Absolutely, yes, they do. And then we have Jane says it's Julian Jerome mad at Ava. Julian died on that bridge. Julian was dying as that bridge even collapsed. He had been shot at the bus depot and made it there bleeding out, So yeah, that's not Julian. And remember, they found Julian's body. When they found a body, they were thinking it was Sonny's and they were all afraid and scared, but the body was not Sonny. The body was Julian Jerome. So it is not Julian. LaShanta said that lady was foul talking to Carly like that. Yes, she was. Reese is not dead. Remember, she took Carly back to the house. She had a breakdown. You know what? I don't remember that. That's interesting. And she doesn't like Trina judging Jocelyn. She made me mad when she was talking about Spencer like that, about how, yeah. I think Trina, she's trying to convince herself that her feelings haven't changed for Spencer. And then LaShun said that Phyllis, she hopes Phyllis, she needs to come back. Where is Phyllis anyway? Did she go on vacation? Did she say she was going back to Nixon Falls? I don't know. But you're right. We haven't seen her in a while. And so Foxy Lady 14 says, wow, your analysis was insightful and exciting. It was so engaging when a reviewer goes the extra mile to figure out character motivation and mystery, character identification. She really enjoyed following the process. Hey, I had fun doing it, being Snoop detective. Miss Chemo Beauty says, you're right. The attacker of being a woman, because she DVR'd the episode. So she slowed it down. And she was able to see at one point, while Brandon was going down, he grabbed the person's upper arm, and it was a smaller arm, in that coat. And when the person walked away, you could see their hips were smaller, resembling a woman's shape. So this chemo beauty feels that, yes, it's a woman. She couldn't see the face or the mouth, she says, and the nose was covered. So I didn't even get to see all of that. It was covered with some sort of cloth. She guessed Brando recognized the hooker, and the hooker tried to take him out because he could expose them. That could be true, because you know what? When Brando looked at the face, he looked at him like, huh, what are you doing here? And Ron says Brando's stabbing is going to bring the old Sonny back into action. And his daughter will see just how family does come first in his life. And Carly still has her head in the clouds, leaving her phone on the plane. Now watch Nell pop up. And then Lucy says Esme is left-handed. And S. Young says, I'm going out on a limb. I think it's Rory. Rory. Really. I just don't trust him. The attacker is going to be a non-essential character. Also, I think it may be the only one that she thinks she's the only one that prefers Jordan over Portia with Curtis. No, I like Jordan with Curtis more than I like Portia with Curtis. So I am with you on that. And then Lorraine says, I really think it's Ryan. If it's Ryan, he would try to kill Nicholas first. I would think Ryan would try to get Nicholas. Yeah, he would, because he wants Nicholas out of her life. And she wish she would bring back Phyllis too. She goes, because that was the reason that Sonny bought Charlie's, was so Phyllis could stay there, and she really liked Phyllis's relationship with Nina. She says, bring Phyllis back. Yep, bring her back. Bring her back. Then Richard says, another great review. You're definitely on point with your detective skills. Esme is left-handed. I remember her writing the letter to her nanny. Yep, that stuck with me too. Patricia said maybe Carly is in Florida to run into Nell, or find out Nell is not really Nina's daughter. There always seems to be a reason for scenes. I know, right? Maybe Brando recognized the killer, and the doctors will say he died until he can come to identify the killer. I don't know. I love playing soap detectives because sometimes I'm right. I love Patricia says she loves my reviews. Thank you so much, Patricia. And she also says that Brando is a tall man who can fight. Esme and Nell were petite, and he could have overcome her. Rory is short, but he can't. He could be a martial arts master. I think we're making up stuff for Rory. I bet the farm, Ryan Chamberlain as the attacker. So we got a Ryan. He even told Esme that he could get out whenever he wants. The guards think he can't move. The attacker was after Jocelyn. Brando just got in the way. That is definitely true. Now, Tanya, your recap was different. Your analysis made me think, she's talking about my analysis, based on your theory about the height, leads me to believe it might be Trina. I think that's because of her schizophrenia lineage, along with the traumatic trail of experiences of the one being framed for the revenge porn. She blacks out and omits vicious attacks. I don't remember Trina ever blacking out, ever. And then she says, hey, what do I call you? I think you're talking about me. I'm the daily recap lady. Sandy says, you were right about Esme. She's left-handed. She hates both Ava and Josh. Yes, she does. Esme could help Ryan sneak out of Spring Ridge. Poor Sasha. Can't take much more. If Brando dies, she's a goner if Brando dies. Robin says Brando saves Josh. I think the attacker is Ryan. If Brando dies, does Gladys control Sasha's money? I don't think so, because the guardian has to be named in the documentation. That's interesting. Nikisha says, I think the angle of the camera may be distorting the look of the height, but your detective work is awesome. You're better than the PCPD, better than some of the writers of the soap. Just look, I do not want to be a soap opera writer. Do not want that pressure on me. Lord, no. And then Lisa says, Ryan is missing his left hand. Yes, he is. The killer is holding the hook. Ryan is missing his right hand. The killer is holding the hook in the left hand. It's possible he is able to sneak in and out of Spring Ridge like Spencer. Yes, it is possible. If he has someone working with him. And then Patricia tags on that and says she definitely thinks it's Ryan. He told Esme he could get out whenever he wants. The guards thinks he can't move. So we had some really good conversation going in Comment Corner. I tell you, our conversation in Comment Corner to me was better than what happened on the show today. So keep your comments coming. It really, really good. Although I know you're not going to have a lot to talk about today in Comment Corner. Ugh. But it was an okay show. Let's see what Cliffhanger Friday brings. If in fact we have a Cliffhanger Friday, let's see what Friday brings. I will be back tomorrow for another daily recap of General Hospital.